And here I was, having my doubts on Capcom with the whole thing. Honestly, in the lead up to this trailer, I had my doubts. I was thinking along the lines of, it's only 10 minutes, there's the possibility it might not be anything too big, but at the same time it'd be quite weird for them to show, yet again, the fourth trailer, but just an extended cut, and then showing what they had at New York Comic Con. Nope. They blew expectations out of the water here with this fifth trailer. Oh boy. And here I am getting to it a few days later, which definitely wasn't my intention, but hey, life happens, stuff happens, so you just kind of have to roll with the punches, all that. And yeah, like I've been saying, and like other people have been talking about online, this trailer is absolutely crazy. I'm not sure what else I can bring to the conversation and discussion now, because everybody and their mother has talked about it, but I thought, just give my impressions on it as always, my thoughts and feelings about the monsters, the environments, what the story's looking like so far. Albeit some of it's going to be a bit light because I already have video ideas or subjects planned in the future, so, oh well. But I mean, hey, that's for the future. That's for Future Monarch to decide on in terms of those videos. Let's talk about the here and now. Let's talk about Ramble Monarch talking about the fifth trailer of Monster Hunter Wilds, The Black Flame. So, I might as well start off my thoughts on the trailer with the environment that gets shown off here, which has been confirmed and named as the Oil Well Basin, and it feels like a no-duh every time I'm saying this. It's like, oh, once again, like a top-tier locale. How surprising from recent Monster Hunter. But God, it really is the truth. Just like the fact that we have been hitting it out of the ballpark in terms of not just what appears to be a great-looking desert map and forest map, but also now the equivalent of a volcano map. Every generation of Monster Hunter has to have a volcano map. Every game has to have one from the looks of it. And this just might be one of the best and most unique locales I have ever seen in Monster Hunter. And I'm really liking how they actually use this concept in the natural world of oil basins, and how the environment even looks slightly industrial and more, technological compared to a bit more of a natural environment. It gives me the vibes that the village here is a lot more integrated into the environment, as we can see. There are furnaces and literal rock pipes that are spewing out flames essentially when they activate the fire spring, when the furnaces are all ready to go. And there's even a little invention in one of the shots where the hunter activates a pressure switch at the top of it, and it extends out like it's a Dragonator. And I find that a really unique concept for an environment like that, because a lot of the times in monster environments, they've always focused on the supremely natural. There has been little to no man-made structures or focus on the man-made in the environments. At most, if there was something humanoid in the environment, it was in the form of ruins or destroyed towns and houses that littered the area. There really wasn't much in terms of civilization because that was in the background. Your civilization was the village, essentially. And if it was something like the Moga Woods, well, you could see the village far off in the distance. Whereas with Wilds in the Oil Well Basin, they're really trying to emphasize that the environment and village are basically one and the same. They're emphasizing the whole focus of the villages in general being extensions of their environments. They're emphasizing the open world nature of the game, how you can just go out on hunts into the literal wilds of the game, that you can set up pop-up camps, that you can seamlessly traverse from one area to another, literally one locale from another with these short, interlude zones that we've seen in official press gameplay. And I think that's a really neat idea, not just for immersion and showing off the technology, but also just to further distinguish the environment. That the village of Azuz, the Everforge, and that the Oil Well Basin are basically one and the same. It really feels like an industrial movement kind of area, like technologically going forward with like the invention and utilization of steam power and oil. I'm really liking that theme because we've had technologically advanced towns and people in Monster Hunter before, but like this is the first time I feel where we're really utilizing that kind of era in terms of history, that we're really calling back to those ideas of technology and using these aspects of nature to power industry. And yeah, that just overall helps make the Oil Well Basin feel so incredibly distinct. It's why I feel it might be one of the best volcano maps already. It might be one of the best maps we've seen in Monster Hunter so far because of just how distinct it is, how the environment is going to change thanks to the systems of Wild between this dry, rustic feel in the screenshots where it's all like rusted over versus the period of time where there's a bunch of oil leaking out. And then there is the fire spring, which is where all of it's lighting up, there's heat in the air, there's gas and all that, and yeah. Oh, fuck. I'm literally just now oh god, Ramble Monarch. I was literally just reminded of the fact that my feelings about the Oil Well Basin are basically just that, like, it's Volcanic Hollow from 4 Ultimates if Volcanic Hollow wasn't a shit map, if it wasn't a waste of space. I mean, there are a few maps I'd say that are bad in Monster Hunter, but like Volcanic Hollow I'd say is one of them, just because it's like, why does this even exist? Sunken Hollow already existed, it's a good map, I honestly like Sunken Hollow more than Volcanic Hollow. I get that it has story significance in terms of unclogging the lava, like the volcano essentially, and making it all run, but like, I feel like the Volcanic Hollow is just a waste of space in terms of the overall map size, that we could have gotten a more interesting volcano map if we had to have a volcano map, or even just like to change up the areas a bit more if it still had to be the Volcanic Hollow. Yeah, and that's what the Oil Well Basin just kind of reminds me of at the moment, just like, it's a better Sunken and Volcanic Hollow kind of rolled into one that isn't awkwardly split apart to essentially make up space in the game. I feel like this is a real banger of a locale, and it shows off a lot of distinct areas in just the short glimpses we get in the trailer's runtime. We go everywhere from like the typical sights you'd see in a volcano area to Rumpopolo's nest, which, oh boy, those monsters. Again, bangers as a whole. I'm still going to say that Wilds has not disappointed yet in terms of its monsters. I mean, there are some monsters that I feel okay about, like Chotacabra and another one, which you are going to see in the series of shorts that I'm doing. But like, even still, the okays of this game are incredibly impressive in terms of what they're doing with the game and its technology. Granted, Rumpompolo, kind of tests my resolve because I don't like its design. I don't like the monster. I get that that's the goal of it, to kind of creep me out and make it weird, but like, I still don't like it. I still really don't like it. It seems to be the star of the show besides the Black Flame in this trailer. Lots of people being divisive on whether they like the monster because of its ugliness or hate the monster because of its ugliness. Me, I like it, kind of. Like, I get the goal of it, the design, and, it's yet another distinct brute wyvern, like with Chemitris. So, we're definitely seeing the weirdos of the brute wyvern category, and once again, Wilds is showcasing how distinct and, well, wild the designs are in this game, how it's essentially a new frontier for us to explore, and how seemingly it looks like a lot of our expectations in terms of classifications and what we know of the monster world are going to be tested here. I think Ajara Khan is a pretty good looking monster. I like how the scales and ridges upon its back emulate that kind of style of flame in Asian art, sculptures, or like statues in general. Like, you know what I'm talking about, like how they stylize it. I'm not sure, I don't recall off the top of my head which Asian cultures specifically use it, but like I feel like it's something heavily associated with like asuras or something like that, and it's a neat idea, and it brings to mind just visions of Lavaback from Monster Hunter Wilds, which or not Wilds, fuck. They're games that both have Wilds in the name. It's just that one is Monster Wilds and the other is Wild Hearts. Sorry, I meant to say reminds me of Lavaback from Wild Hearts, which I will always vouch by Wild Hearts being a good game that just got screwed over by EA. Yeah, Ajarakan's neat, Fane Beast, like Fire Monkey, which, wow, that certainly is a unique concept that other hunting games seemingly borrow a lot, which is interesting to think about. And then, of course, we have the Black Flame, which a lot of speculation around this monster. We're getting the Valzok treatment in that we first see like a hint of this monster, like it looks to be a supremely powerful monster, like it's been confirmed as the apex of the oil well basin. But as for what classification it is, what its name is, nobody knows. And I feel like for me, it's easy to go to an Elder because, well, it doesn't look like anything else we've seen before, it's quite distinct, and that, you know, Elders have that air of mysteriousness and power, but at the same time, I'd feel it'd be kind of a cop-out to make the apex of the oil well basin an Elder when the apexes of the other regions have been classifications we've already known about. You know, Raydao is a flying wyvern and Ufduna is a leviathan. We don't know what Arkveld is, but that's kind of the point, because I feel like he's his own unique thing that we're going to have to see in the story. He's not really an apex, he sits outside of it, he's like an invader, or like, I don't know, some Kratos-looking motherfucker looking for revenge. So a part of me is thinking, like, what if they introduce a new classification for it? Like, sure, the cephalopods, there is no official cephalopod classification in Monster Hunter. Cephalopods like Yamasukami and Nakarkos have been exclusive to Elders because they're just that weird, and we really don't know how to categorize them. So, you know, considering it's also a cephalopod, it could be an Elder Dragon, but I think it'd be a way cooler power move if they just made a new classification right here and now. Like, oh yeah, sure, just straight up weird what the fuck octopus looking thing that has one of the coolest, cruelest looking pin moves I have ever seen in Monster Hunter, with how it just grabs the hunter and stares at them with like malice in its eyes essentially, and it just kind of stares at the hunter like that, and that the hunter is actively struggling. It tells me that there's a little bit of interactivity with the pins, that if there are more pins in this game, that they're going to go above and beyond with making it more interactive than whatever it was before, that there's going to be an active struggle instead of just like, oh no, I got tossed up in the Devil Joe's jaws and I'm thrown onto the ground, oh no, whatever will I do? Dragon Pod. And God, the hunter just getting barbecued there, outright. But I mean, overall, area and monsters are looking supremely good, and I'm curious to see what else they do in terms of the roster, which, speaking of roster, there's also been a bit of information flying out online recently, where someone at Gamescom Asia was talking with Ryozo, and, you know, leaked out information that basically said Ryozo's focusing, or like Ryozo and the team are focusing on monsters that did not appear in the 5th generation, and that it will have around a roster bigger than World before its DLC in Iceborne. And I was set to talk about that right now, but it's also come out recently, like literally just before, when Shinkai Hunter on Twitter basically explained that apparently the source for this made it all up. The person who was talking about this was instead a colleague who was speculating based on an interview with a bunch of information, and that words like more monsters in Iceborne were just purely speculation, but that the YouTuber instead went and attributed it to Ryozo and didn't tell anybody until the article was published, until the information was already out online, and fuck, that's scummy. Ugh. It doesn't help the monster community. It doesn't help at all. It gets people's hopes up, and more importantly, it spreads misinformation. People are going to start believing it and seeing it as fact. Before you know it, it's going to spread like wildfire. I'm sure most people have already talked about with others. And the monster community already has a really, really bad reputation with misinformation as is. I mean, fuck, I don't even need to recall the days of Fatalis, or the ancient Dragon War, the Eagle Dragon Weapon, or all that fucking shit from Rage Gaming videos that they just made up and then spread off as fact, essentially, and now it's so hard to dismiss it all nowadays. So, you know, if I'm just saying, like, if you've heard of that rumor before, if you thought that that was true, think again. Like, it's just a bunch of misinformation, it's not true at all, and that, you know, we all have to do our duty to, like, manage the misinformation and to say, hey, this isn't cool, this is bullshit, it gets people's expectations up, it spreads misinformation amongst the community, it hypes a lot of people up, and it's not true at all. But yeah, overall, I'd say that those are about my thoughts on the 5th trailer of Monster Wilds. I'm not sure if any of that was all that interesting to talk about, considering it was me, Ramble Monarch, talking, and again, the trailer's been out for a few days, and, you know, people have already said their piece about it, people have already dug into it, and speculating on everything, so this probably won't do well, but oh well. I just wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on the trailer and how I feel about it, especially considering I stayed up till 8 and then eventually 9 in the morning talking about it that night. And you know, there's a lot of things to talk about going forward with this trailer, a lot of expectations for the game, especially in terms of the story, which I would talk about the story implications and like what the story is going for in this game, but I want to save that for a full video. I want to save that for a video where I can go in depth about it all, talk about all the points I want to mention, what the story seems to be from what we've seen of Nada and all the villages, and also official gameplay. And plus, with the open beta period coming out literally the 28th, which I am excited for, I'm thinking of making the video after the open beta comes out, because then I'll have a better idea of what the story seems to be, the implications, all that and more. So yeah, look forward to a video in the future of me talking about the story of Monster Wilds and why I think story is really important in monster games, even though some people might not believe it. Then in terms of the open beta, yes, that happened. I was super fucking scared when it initially showed that October 31st release date, because I'm already gearing up for the 31st. I already have a plan in mind to stream the Blasphemous 2 DLC over here on YouTube. I already was planning for that, and then when I saw the information, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to multitask or split up the day, but no. Then they showed the other release dates, and it's like, oh, okay. Breath of fresh air, but that still doesn't ignore the fact that also Dizzy from Guilty Gear is releasing also the 31st. It's like, I get it's Halloween, but holy shit, you all need to stop in terms of releasing things on the same exact date. Games I care about. It's like, stop it, please. Yeah, and in terms of the open beta, for all the people watching, yes, I will be streaming that game. I will be streaming the open beta, giving my thoughts on it, and trying to do everything I can in the open beta the day it comes out over here on YouTube. I've been doing a lot of YouTube streams as of late, trying to get back into it with Hades 2, and then recently Monster Iceborne with a Guyland stream because I made the recent video. So yeah, look forward to the YouTube live stream when that comes out. Please go and support the recent video I made before this with the Guylands video, or hell, even the Apex and Whitestone video if you want to hear me be negative about something, whatever the case may be. And hey, as I've been mentioning before in this video, I have been doing a series of shorts on the monsters of Monster Wilds. I am still catching up in terms of all the monsters that were announced. I still gotta go through Raydao, Ufduna, Chemitris, Arkveld, Kongalala, Yankaku, and now all these new monsters in the trailer. But I will catch up eventually. I will be releasing them periodically, and I'm hoping that this will help the channel out in terms of content, so that, you know, it'll give you all something to watch as I'm working on videos. And hopefully when the next trailer comes around, I will be all caught up, so that way you don't have to wait for my impressions and the shorts on the newest monsters, whatever they may be. But yeah, those are all the thoughts I have today about the trailer, about the monsters, the locale, and everything else I could think of off the top of my head, which, you know, is sporadic as it is Rambo Monarch. But thank you all for watching this video and all the content recently. I really do appreciate it. Please let me know down in the comment section below what you all thought of the 5th trailer, what you all thought of the new locale, the NPCs and supposed story we're getting there, as well as what your thoughts on the monsters are. Are you a fan of Rampompolo? Are you a fan of Ajarakan or the Black Flame? Just let me know all that down in the comment section below. It's nice talking with all of you and seeing what you all think. It gives me a wider perspective on things than I could do with on my own. And yeah, with that all being said, I have been the Monarch of Dragons, and I hope you all have a fantastic day / night wherever you live. Peace and cool assaults.